gonna start off with the big dog Miles. You know, Miles I hold near and dear to my heart, and I know you deal with him directly the most out of everybody.
Yeah.
Um, so the question was, or the statement that I sent out was, if you could share me what you love most about my mother, um, if you can share an experience that you have, something that sticks out that she may or may not remember, that just lets her know that it resonates with you. And like I said, Miles was the first person. His response was, "What I love most about our mother is her strong belief in God. Like no matter what happens to her or what happens in the world, her conviction is strong and unshakable. I love the fact that if she says she loves you, she will go to the moon to make you happy, and or do something for you.
Wow.
You know." So I knew. I told Hunt. I said, "Dog, this one gonna make her tear up."
Mm.
Um, you know, and I know that one resonates with you because he don't say much. You know what I'm saying? Like I know you know that Miles loves you and appreciates you, but
Mm.
sometimes like I'm trying to get people in the habit of expressing what they feel. Emotions are powerful, and whether the emotion is anger, whether the emotion is just to be ecstatic, anxiety, whatever it is, there's power in it,
Yeah.
and you never know what that effect is until you actually release it. And it's not even so much as what happens in even the most dangerous of emotions, as you know, but it's the action that follows. Sometimes it's recognizing when you're in that moment, like, hey, this is happening. Let me find out how uh, I best deal with this. You know, for me,
True.
it's anger. Like I still have an anger problem. I still go through stress and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I'm continuing to work on that. I'm continuing to focus on the growth aspect of it, and I know you have too over the years. You know, with me, your
Yeah.
relationship. So I always want you to know that I sincerely appreciate you and I love you with all my heart.
Yeah. I'll say you my most responsible child. And
Yeah,
I that's the one thing that I love and appreciate about you. So even when you used to get mad at me, sometimes I really didn't care because it's like, hey, you no, really. I mean,
yeah,
you may laugh at. I mean, as you got older, you were able to more express, the things, and I seen the anger and stuff. I felt some type of way, but for the most part, your responsibility and the man you turned out to be
yeah,
was all I ever wanted. Now, I didn't want the anger part of it because, like I
yeah,
said, sometimes the way we raise our children, you um looking for a goal or an expectation, but we don't even know how to get to that goal. So, a prime example, what I admired the most about my mother, she raised 9 children.
yeah,
She did not play being disrespectful. You know how big your brother, Uncle, and Michael, your
yeah,
Uncle Kevin and your Uncle Michael are. Standing over 6'3" and 4",
yeah,
big guys, never disrespectful to my mother. Never. She demanded. She commanded the room.
yeah,
Nine children. She raised 9 children. I can't do nothing but salute her.
yeah, for sure.
In spite of everything, I couldn't do nothing but salute her. Her job. She passed away after she raised her youngest child, which was me.
Yeah,
And then she passed away. So
and that's
I'm
a
like,
different perspective. I've never heard you say that. So that
oh
lets
yeah,
me know that
almost definitely.
that
Yeah,
sincerely lets me know
yeah,
that you're paying attention to the stuff
yeah,
that we talk
yeah,
about because
yeah,
um, there's healing in truly believing
yeah.
that,
But
and
what was all your arguments about? Disrespect, right?
yeah,
We never had an argument that was not out of disrespect. You see what I'm saying? And then, but you were a big guy. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying? So at the same time, you pointed it out to me recently. You said, "Mine, you don't like to be challenged." So
yeah,
when you was being disrespectful, I didn't see you as my young child.
yeah,
I seen you
yeah,
as somebody. Hey, I'm gonna have to put you down, and you
yeah,
gonna put me
yeah,
down, or
yeah,
it's about to
yeah,
go down. And I'm not proud of that because I didn't have the mentality, I didn't have the
yeah,
capacity, I didn't have the surroundings of people. Like they said, take a village to raise a kid. So
yeah,
when me and my friends got together, all we talked about, hey, the way we was raised. Hey, mom and them didn't play that. You didn't have anybody that was
yeah,
like the Bible says, come let us
yeah.
reason together. We had nobody in the circle that say, hey, now mom and them may have did that, but
That
there's a
don't mean
better
we got to
way.
repeat the cycle. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you.
And I
So
appreciate you saying that because,
yes,
like, coming up, the reason I never felt that I was being disrespectful is when you're being taught, respect or even having conversations with people, any rebuttal, or it seemed like any rebuttal that I gave or me having an opinion came off as disrespectful. And in my mind, I'm like, well, hell, if I can't say nothing, that technically makes you a tyrant, a dictator. And I know I've used those terms with you coming up. So that's where I was always coming from. It wasn't that there was ever any intention of being disrespectful. That's just
you
like, I
are
mean,
our new generation, though.
yeah,
You are
absolutely.
a very again
Yeah,
the way we were raised. My mother and them they didn't
absolutely.
play. My mother, like I said, she
Yeah,
demanded her respect.
yeah,
I was something else as a child.
yeah,
But one thing I knew not to play with Shirley Robinson.
yeah,
I knew she would break my neck, my back.
yeah,
But I knew
yeah,
not. Please talk back. I talk back in the room. And
yeah.
pray she didn't hear me. She had
Yeah,
a mean strong arm, a mean shoe arm, a mean broom arm. My
yeah,
mama
yeah,
didn't play, but I loved her and I respected her for that.
yeah.
I did because I just believe that and I'm not promoting violence or whoopings or
No, no, not at all.
whatever people want to call them.
Right.
But I just know that I was something else, and I just
It's a
believe that
different
she.
time though. It's a different
Yes,
time, and I think
yes,
like, I
yes,
sidebar, like,
yes.
the that's why this can never be 30 minutes.
I
This is
know,
why
right?
the segments are longer than 30 minutes
I
because
know, right?
it there's so much in there's so many deep things to talk about in conversations, and this is really what I wanted to get from this platform. Like honestly, this is really like the healing that's gonna come from this. I promise you, if it's not us, well, we've already dealt with our demons,
Yes,
so to speak.
yes,
But if somebody else gets something from this, or even as we're gaining more from this, me gaining more understanding about your upbringing and pretty much why you had to have your survival instinct and just a lot of things about you, like I appreciate you even more.
yes,
Um, but that's the thing, like in that time, you didn't have a choice but to be a product of your environment. We're not even gonna mention the things about the riots and everything that were going on in Detroit around the time that you were born. We haven't even touched that part of it. But to truly be a product of your environment, all you knew was to survive,
yeah.
and that's helped you through decades, you know, with growth. But at the same time, like we learn to incorporate that and truly never lose ourselves, but we learn to adapt, and that was the other part that I learned from you.
But I'm gonna say this too. I wish I had brothers and sisters that we really had real conversations.
Yeah,
Like I said, I don't have real conversations with any of my family members.
yeah,
I'm a free person. I'm free to talk about whatever. You can ask me whatever. But I don't get the same feedback from them. They don't they may talk about something that angered them or made them angry, but
yeah,
to really, really give me a brief synopsis of who
yeah,
they really are as a
yeah.
person, you know? And so
But
it
sometimes we
makes it
struggle as
hard.
people. It makes it
Yes,
hard because I'm
yes,
gonna tell you, like, and I don't care who feels some type of way about this, but um, it's tough because when I reached out and I asked people for this information and I let them know what I did, what did I tell you? What did I come to you and say? I said, it's a lot of people that you ride for that truly don't ride for you.
yeah.
And
But you know, I've never been a person that cared about who ride for me because seeing
for
she gonna do
sure.
what she gonna do anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've always been the leader of my own pack, and that's why I know that my mother disciplining me the way she did was
Yeah.
best for me because
Yeah.
I was going to do my own thing
Yeah.
regardless to what anybody felt. You know, it took some
Right.
growth for me to get where I am, a
Yeah.
lot of growth.
And let me elaborate on that real quick because I'm not saying that the out of everyone that I asked,
Correct.
the people that didn't respond just because they don't ride for you. I'm not saying that. But what
Correct.
I am saying is the ones that do ride for you. Well, actually, I'm gonna just leave it to these responses. It's not even for me. That's your relationship with those people. But
Yeah.
that's
But
another thing.
I'm gonna say this too, me being me and not being in my head because I'm thankful for the circle that I do have now.
Yeah,
I
for
have
sure.
a wonderful, beautiful, exceptionally church family right now.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't give God more praise than for this group of
Yeah.
people that I'm in connection with now.
Yeah.
But not being in my head to say, a lot of times people don't know what they think of me. One thing I know about me, son, I'm strong.
Yeah.
I've always been strong. The things that I've been through would have broke somebody's neck, back, head, and everything else. So I don't feel no type of way about people. I am a relationship person. I love conversations. I love to be around people. And so everybody, I'm not going to get everybody. One thing I'm learning is, and Pastor E.T. says this, everybody is not going to like you. And when I went to a church recently, Pastor Ken Lock Solomon said that. I don't care who you are and what you do. You could be great or nothing. Everybody is not going to like you. And it is okay. And that's what I'm trying to get the young generation, my daughter's age, to understand. And it is okay for everybody not to like you.
But you know what? That's the other reason why I love doing this, because I mean, I'm only 31. So a lot of the stuff that these young people they resonate with or that they feel, I've been there and I understand that. And like I said, people are so, it's not even so much as uncomfortable, but there's not a level or standard that it's okay to share what you're feeling. We see all these suicide prevention commercials and all of that. That's one thing, but that's the deep end. I'm talking about having everyday conversation. Now, I do understand with this generation, it's a lot more difficult for them to maybe articulate their words verbally or their feelings verbally as opposed to sending it through text, making a post. But I truly want people to know, like, there's a power in being different. You know what I'm saying? Like, how boring would it be if we're all the same? And I feel like this society, that's what it is. Like, look at this damn crate challenge. I've been saying this for the past 5 years or so since I came to my understanding of who I am. America focuses on trends.
Yes.
Like we don't focus on the unpopular or the unbiased. Like if it's trending, it's popping. That's weird to me. Mm-hmm. That is so weird to me. And I challenge every person to look at it for what it is.
Yes.
You know, like COVID and all of this. Like, think about all the misinformation that was presented when this came about.
Yes.
Why was it? Because it was trending. Everybody was talking like, oh, black people can't get it. It's the melanin in our skin.
I know, right? I was really hoping that was true.
I mean, of course. We all do. Or, what was the other one? Oh, this came from 5G. When they released 5G on the phone networks, that was world. Like, and it took me to a place when everything happened with George Floyd where I was just disgusted. And it really started to affect me mentally. So, like, for a while, I wouldn't talk about it. And when it comes up at my job, I don't want to hear about it. Like, look, man, I'm just so tired of talking about this. I'm over it. Stop talking to me about something because companies are making decisions and people are making decisions on whether or not to get vaccinated, and they are coming up with all these conspiracy theories. I'm just tired of hearing about it. But that's really what I want to resonate with as far as me talking to the young people. Like the young man yesterday on the prayer line. I know I went on a rant and I didn't hear the whole story. But those are things when you talking to somebody, like, yeah.
Valid points, though.
Yeah.
It was still a valid point, even though it was about something else. It still fit in because sometimes we think we want something. It's like today I was listening to a podcast. E.T. had a master class on it, and what he was talking about, what is our expectation? And the other girl said the other day, a lot of times we want something, but we're not even looking for the expectation, or we're not even, if that's what we want, we're not looking at that as a goal. So if it's a goal, you'll be doing everything, okay, how do I get to this goal?
Right.
And people we're so used to name it and claim it, call it out, and you know, you're just so used to all that other stuff. And even when it comes to focusing on ourselves, okay, if you don't explain to people that focusing on yourself is not selfish, you'll start to quote all the things about God about being selfish.
Yeah.
But there is nothing wrong with you knowing who you are.
Absolutely.
You get better out of yourself when you know who you are. Absolutely. When you know your value and your worth. When you put some emphasis on yourself. Now I'm gonna back up a little bit because we were talking about sacrifice. The sacrifice I told you I was not willing to make for my children was to stay in a relationship with somebody who didn't love and want me just for the sake of my children. But every other sacrifice I made was about my children.
Yeah.
That was just one I was not willing to do. Now I'll sacrifice. Like you'll see me now. I'm sitting here with a scarf on because today, no, really, today Miles gets out the hospital.
Yeah.
I could have went and got my hair done, but I choose to go to the hospital to make sure I get him cleaned up and everything before he comes home, so that could be something better for me and better for him. He can come straight home and rest.
Now let me. That's actually a segment. Now this one's gonna throw you off because this wasn't in a list of questions that I sent you, but I really wanted to share this with you, and I wanted you to touch a little bit on this because I know that there are probably many people in the world that identify in the same. I have to apologize to you because for a while I judged you going back to 2015 when you lost your last job, when you came to see me during surgery. And it wasn't in that moment, but I was angry because I'm like, yo, my mom's was here, and it felt at that time, it felt like you were more focused on taking Janiyah to the Mall of America than actually being there by my side as I was going through those changes. And that was scary. It was very, very scary. But now I understand that you felt okay leaving me in Kiana's care because you knew that I had a true partner. So ain't that crazy? Like, I know I ain't never had that.
Huh? You didn't have a true partner. You have a wife.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, somebody that you can entrust. Yeah, no. Yeah, but what I mean by that, Kiana is truly my partner. She's my wife, but she's also my partner. She's somebody who I can lean on when I'm at my worst and when I'm not doing it great. And I've had to learn to embrace her for that. But in that moment, me and her even had to deal with that. You know, as my understanding grew, I had to educate her in a sense, as the husband and as the partner of the relationship.
Well, let me elaborate on that a little bit, son.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to be that mother-in-law that's overstepping her boundaries. See, when you're dealing with marriages and the black culture, we have been disrespectful. You know, mamas get in there and think they telling the wife what to do. I don't want to be her.
No, not at all.
I know how I am as a woman. Nobody will ever step where I tread and where I lead. Never. Nobody's mama. So I would never be that mother. So when you was in surgery and you had all that, what you failed to realize is it was a blessing for me that you had a wife.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wife. Like you said, your partner. Reason why I wanted to quote wife, I don't want anybody to think you got a girlfriend.
Yeah, I feel you. Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that.
It would have been a different story.
There's different levels
to make some decisions as your mother, but you have a whole wife. If I needed to interject, I would have. And then you got to remember that y'all have a baby sister. She's coming up. She's watching her brothers go through something. We don't know what she go through. So my thing is, I'm the type of person, I'm going to make the best out of the whole situation. If I drove 12 hours to Minnesota, I might as well let her have some fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I knew you were all right. You had a wife, and I didn't want to step on
being medicated. You ain't thinking about that. You know, especially. I don't even think like. I don't remember the majority of it. Yeah, I don't. I remember the feeling came about after I had the blood clot when I came out of surgery. That was when I kind of started to go in panic mode, and I'm looking like, where is everybody at? So, you know, I remember bits and pieces of that, especially like when they took the epidural out. Stuff really is still mushy in my mind. So I couldn't even tell you everything that I was feeling at that moment, but I know that was something that I had to deal with, and I dealt with that in therapy. And so with that, like I said, I wanted to start off by apologizing, but I also wanted to apologize in the aspect of when you're a caretaker and you don't work, people truly don't understand what it is that your schedule calls for. No, straight up. I mean that. There's an episode of the show's called Family or Fiance. It's on the OWN channel or We Network, whatever it is. But the whole basis of the show is there's an engaged couple and they're going to their family to get their blessings, and the family, they're expressing what their doubts are. And this one episode resonated with me so freaking heavy. There was a husband and wife, or engaged couple. They had moved from New York, I believe, to California. And on her side, it was her friends and her cousin, and they kept saying to the husband like, "Yo, you took her away from us without getting our permission, without talking to us." And on the husband's side, I believe, there was like his mother. Yeah, that was like his mother, and then two of his cousins. And one of the cousins' beef with the wife was, "I got you a job, and you pretty much scarred my name, or damaged his reputation." That's what I was trying to say. And when she got up, it came down to a point in the segment where they separated. You know, the husband with the wife's people and vice versa. And when she got on, she brought up a whiteboard and she broke down everything that she did in a day. She had an ill mother that she had never really discussed, and she broke down her schedule between when she got up in the morning. She would have to get her mother prepared, get the children prepared, and then she finally had 15 minutes to herself before she had to go to her job. And I just want you to know, like, nobody knows what you go through, and the people that hate on you, they don't understand what you go through. But it makes me appreciate you so much more, not only as a woman, not only as a black woman, but a strong black woman, as a caretaker, because a lot of people out here don't have somebody that really will ride for them and make sure that they have the best care. And I know with my brother, it you didn't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, not understanding, what, or not being willing to ask the necessary questions and know what somebody's going through, to make assumptions. Like, it's the dumbest thing that we can do. And I think, if anything, over the past year and a half, 2 years, like, I've noticed that. Like, and I really buy into avoiding making assumptions. Every time I hear I thought, every time I hear I thought,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't you ask?
Correct.
It's that simple to me now. Like, hey, don't assume, just ask. Know that I'm open and I'm willing to answer a question in the best way that I can if you ask. But when you make assumptions, whatever follows after that assumption is on you, because you assumed.
Amen.
And that's a level of accountability that a lot of people aren't willing to take. I'm willing to take that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I assumed a lot. And I allowed other people to assume a lot. And I've had to go back and rectify those situations, and just try and learn to change those habits for me. That way I can articulate and explain to people, not necessarily how to make the change for themselves, but the fact that I'm able to say there's power in that alternative mindset. There's so much power. Me and you are able to have these difficult conversations because I've learned not to assume, and to just conversate about what we as people go through, what we as people feel. And at the end of the day, like, there's a level of applying faith that is necessary to even have these conversations. So I sincerely appreciate you, and I apologize from the bottom of my heart.
Amen. Praise God. But I know this too. You taught me so much as well.
Yeah.
At first, I used to be mad at you, as a parent, like I said, going back to how we was raised. How dare you say, but even in my growth in the church, and I just praise God so much for, I'm not going to say I got 100% growth, but I thank Him for the little. Because I know I'm strong-willed. I know I'm strong-minded. I know that when it comes down to anybody making me feel some type of way about myself, we're going to have some problems.
Yeah. Because I work hard to be and find myself and to be who I am.
It's not so even much as I work hard. Don't nobody pay my bills but God. So, and don't nobody have a right. It's like Joyce Meyer say, have no response where you have no responsibility. And anyway, like you said about Miles, I don't have a choice. I do have a choice. I could have put your brother in the nursing home, but the devil is a liar. You said I don't have a choice. The devil is a liar. I got a choice, but he's my child.
Yeah.
He's my child. Absolutely. And because he's my child, I'm going to take care of him, because I know I'm going to take care of him right. Yeah. He's my child. So when I say my life has always been a sacrifice, child and birth a child in this world, we ride until the wheels fall off. Yeah. That means if we homeless together. Yeah. If we in somebody's basement, we in somebody's basement. I'm not giving my responsibility to nobody else. Just when I talk about I love you because you're responsible, guess what? Because I've always had to be responsible. Yeah. If I was nothing else, nobody can ever say I was irresponsible.
Right.
That's one thing you would never be able to say about me. Right. I've always taken care of my responsibility from day one when I had my children. When your sister was in the hospital as a baby, every day I was at that hospital. Yeah. She couldn't come home with me. Except for one day I had a flat tire. And I was steaming because I did have a flat tire and I couldn't get to the hospital. So my my life has always been a life of sacrifice. And I sacrifice things for you could have a better life. It's like if you notice your sister, her hair is never not combed. Yeah, you'll see me with a scarf on. From day one, that child, she's 18, you've never seen her without her hair combed. Yeah. She's not going to leave the house without her hair combed. But me, because I have to take care of business and I don't have time to worry about what nobody think or feel about me. Yeah. And I got to get the job done. I have a dirty job to do, so I don't have time to put on makeup and dress up to go to the grocery store. After I bring them groceries back, I got to get down right, putting them away, and cooking and preparing a meal and still taking care of somebody.
And I hope when she watches this video that, at least when I heard that, you instilled that moral and that value in her. You know, as far as don't come out the house looking any type of way. And she doesn't. She doesn't. Even now, you know, up until like when she went to the party and everything, I didn't think that was the worst. I may not agree with it because it's not my style. But as her older brother, as her oldest brother, well, I ain't gonna say that. Ponka is her brother. Let me stop that. But as her older brother, I didn't look at that and be like, nah, you need to go in the house and change. And I appreciate that about her. I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when she was in Miami and whatnot, she was reserved. I don't even want to say reserved. Whatever it is. Janiyah is a well-mannered young lady. I've learned to trust her in a sense of when something go down, she knows she got people to call. And she know there ain't going to be no hesitation. And I hope that you see the same in her. She may not do things the way that we always want her to. But I think she sees a lot. But she just prefers to go through experience, which I've never understood that about people. But that's this generation.
Like her mama. She like her mama. But she's well more reserved than me. Miles always told me she's stronger than what I give her, what I thought
for
she
sure.
was. So now I'm seeing her being responsible. I'm laid back on it. I'm looking for the freedom time because it is time that I take care of myself. You know, like E.T. preached this morning. This is the last quarter. It don't matter how you started out. Don't matter about the middle. It matters out how you finish this boy. So that's why I say it's my time. Yeah. So I can't afford to be on nothing else.
And low-key, that's how I felt about this. Like, you know, coming up with this ain't about, even though I would love for this to be my work, I would love to get some monetary value amongst this down the line. This was more so, if I'm keeping it a buck, this was a challenge for me. I love talking to people. I love having conversations. But I don't necessarily like technology.
Me either.
You just don't.
Me either. But at least you're doing it. At least my thing is I stopped what I was doing because I was on my way to the hospital. I could have took time to throw a piece of weave in and do all that, but when it comes to sacrifice, I don't have time to be trying to dress anything up. Yeah. So I didn't know what you were going to ask. Yeah. I've just never been a scripted person. It is what it is.
It's funny, the people that watch this that know me, they gonna say the same thing.
About people like me, it's not that people don't like me because it isn't. They don't like my personality. Yeah. My personality is some people not gonna do what Tangi do. No. I just got to get it done, son. That's just always been my life.
Sometimes I'm raw and unfiltered, and I know I get that from you.
I just gotta take care of business. I take care of business. I have to take care of what I'm responsible for. So absolutely. You, Miles, and Janiyah were always my responsibility. I'm thankful that you have a wife. I've never had to worry about you one day. You don't call home. You're not in my pockets. You have exceeded my expectations of a man. Yeah. The things, if I had a book to write you on things I went through with a man, I get to look at you and say, you know what, God, you did bless me with a son that's all those, that's not those things
Yeah.
that I dislike when it comes to a man not just taking care of the basics. So,
Yeah.
like I said, used to get mad at me. I didn't care when I looked at my finished product.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's crazy because I mention that a lot nowadays, and we'll touch on that. We will touch on that at the end, I promise. But
Yeah.
we're going to call this one part two.
Okay.